All right, you wannabes, it's time to hang on to your knickers, pump up your platforms and fasten your seatbelts. I'm Sam Blanford.
I'm Pat Sellers.
I'm Simon Blanford.
And I'm Sean Kelly. And I'll tell you what we wish, what we really, really wish. We wish it was the 90s. There's been a lot of requests in the Slacks for us to maybe review some albums, talk about our favourite songs or artists from the 90s. And so instead, we watched Spice World.
How'd you find it, Sean?
I had a great time. I was smiling my way through it. Obviously, there's some parts that are a little bit cringy, but I sort of expected that, so I was okay with it. Kind of reminded me of watching the 60s Batman show, you know, like I'm not expecting a Nolan trilogy. But yeah, I had fun with it.
We'll actually start with that. How many did you watch Spice World when it first came out?
I don't think so. Like, I was trying to think, like, I obviously knew of it, and I was like, must have seen it. But watching it this time, I think the only thing that rang a bell was the boat scene, which was probably just in the trailer.
Yeah, so obviously you can't reflect on when you watched it in the 90s, but what do you think this time around on your first watch, I guess?
Just an amazing piece of cinema, really. I just really like it when they go to make a movie about a subject like this and say yes to every single script that comes in and just mash them all together into one movie. We've got 30 different competing plots. I think it's just a real work of art. Holds up.
Normally we would maybe do a brief description of the plot, but I barely can remember what the movie was about. I watched it a couple of weeks ago, but still, I struggled. Aside, did you watch it? Did you watch it in the 90s?
I had a feeling before I watched it recently that I had watched it, but sort of couldn't remember really what happened or whether I dipped in and out of it when I watched it. And now I realise I may have actually watched it all, but just thought I was dipping in and out because of all the aforementioned plot lines going on. So I don't know, but I think I had watched it before.
And this time?
This time, it was definitely a movie made in the 1900s.
Sean,
It was a movie.
Scorsese would say this is cinema.
You pushed us to watch this, Sean. So I assume you watched it with your wife.
Yep. She's a big fan. Fun fact, Shah's seen the Spice Girls. Well, 4 of them.
Really?
Yeah. Victoria's not so keen on it anymore, but yeah, she got 4 out of 5.
Oh, they do a comeback without the full squad.
Yeah, Victoria Beckham's too good for it, I guess. I don't know why she didn't do it. Too much keeping an eye on David, I guess.
Who was doing all the pointing then? Because that's basically all she did throughout this entire film. Anytime she was dancing was just point.
She added a lot of other things to this film, which I think we'll cover later.
But boy, could she point.
I guess... so I definitely did watch this in the 90s, and I don't remember it greatly, but I do remember being quite a Spice Girls fan. And I remember after watching it and talking to someone about it, only at that point realizing that the storyline or one of the plot points of how the 5 Spice Girls formed themselves as a group and sung their first hit song to a cafe shop owner was fabricated, and that they were the winners of thousands of auditions.
Yeah, that was good.
Much like the New Zealand band, what were they called?
True Bliss.
True, True Bliss.
I don't know about Charlotte, but I saw True Bliss.
Were they in the 90s? Do an
Oh, yeah,
episode
they
there.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed this. I know it's silly, but like I don't know what anyone expects from the Spice Girls in terms of acting, but I really had fun with all the cameos.
I'm very glad I watched it because it was an experience. So I'm very glad I watched it.
I remember. I think I was a big Spice Girls fan, but I don't know why or how, because I never would have had like a pet tape or anything of them. I know. So George Bevan, my best friend growing up, still a very good friend of mine. His sister.
He slipped down the order a little bit, did he?
He won't listen to this. His sister Sylvia was prime age for the Spice Girls at the time of this movie coming out, or when the Spice Girls were popular. So I remember watching this on VHS upstairs at his house. Also remember watching the Spice Girls live. I think they did one of their songs nude. And all I can remember from the first time I watched it was that bus, basically, and how cool the bus was. Well, how I thought the bus was cool. Oh, and the aliens, they haunted my dreams.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I definitely
remember
didn't see that
aliens the
coming,
first time.
but that was great.
And
You
this
remembered
time, I had lots of questions like, "Is this a B movie?" I think they were taking the piss, but I don't think they were at the same time. And I just the plethora of stars that were on it, I really enjoyed just them popping up left, right, and centre.
And they're clearly taking the piss.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if one was.
I don't think.
The actor
One of the
name.
Cameos. Well, Meatloaf. Meatloaf was. I thought he was taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought he did good though.
Oh, great job.
Yeah, Dennis the bus driver.
How good was he?
What? So he's in something else, isn't he?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right. Pretty big.
Fight Club.
Yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I can't remember the character he plays, but that character was performed by one Mikey Havoc in the New Zealand production of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's pretty much.
Is a name from the 90s, maybe early 2000s. So we are going to go through some of our favourite scenes, some quotes. We'll do a all favourite character draft, and we might look to recast some of the characters from the Spice World movie. Any other things that people want to talk about before we get into our favourite scenes?
Let's get into it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I don't think so.
To delve into this a bit more.
All right, we'll start with Pat, whose notes have been eaten by your cat. What happened to your notes?
Oh, my cat. No, you can't leave bits of paper around when you've got a toddler in the house. And,
sorry.
We had a couple of misfires on doing this podcast, so I had them sitting around for far too long. I got left with one bit of paper instead of 3 or 4. What are we doing? Best scenes here?
Yeah, your favourite scene.
Rather than just a specific scene, I think just the first time when you see the interior of the bus, and you realise that they Harry Pottered the shit out of the bus. Seems to be about the size of a full 2 to 3 bedroom house, but it's still driving along the road outside.
I was confused as to how you what you were meaning by Harry Pottered the shit out of the bus.
I can't remember the spell, but the tents at the World Cup, whatever the hell they're doing. Anytime they're in a tent in Harry Potter, basically that is what they did to that bus. They were driving around normal streets in a double-decker bus, but had, I don't know, what would you call it, a gymnasium in there?
It's interesting you say that, Pat, because in my notes, I've got, I feel like Pat would be a big fan of the bus scenes. And I
Yeah,
don't know
There
why.
you go.
I mean, I thought the Harry Potter bus was excellent. It's like absolutely ridiculous, but who cares? I mean, I also quite enjoy when towards the end where the screenwriter's running through the chase scene and the producer makes a point that a bus jumping the bridge would be really expensive. So they actually just use a model car for the movie, a model bus.
Yeah, that's good.
Very meta.
Sean, you may as well go on and get your favourite scene.
Yeah. So a couple of honourable mentions here. Sorry to drag out my section here, but
I hope you don't take my scene.
all right, maybe we can come back to the honourable mentions. That's
I've
fair.
got one scene, so here's hoping that you don't pick it.
Okay. Or shall I go last then?
Yeah, all right. Simon, you go next, and then I'll go.
It had to be, for me, the alien scene.
What the fuck?
That's mine.
It's
Meatloaf,
insane.
Barbara. Is it Barbara? Is that her name? Barbara? Meatloaf and Barbara in fine form. All the girls wading out into the forest. And then the alien scene. Just outstanding. Got a few notes on that one. The fact that they actually... we have subtitles to understand this alien language, but girls don't have subtitles. Yet they can understand that the aliens are asking them for tickets. They can understand they're asking them for an autograph. So I just thought that scene had it all. Wonderful makeup on the aliens. Just a wonderful scene all around.
Yeah, that was definitely my favourite scene. Probably because I remembered it from when I first, like, that was the things that stuck in my memory. I think it was at the start of the scene where Meatloaf said, which was part of the scene, one of my favourite quotes, I love these girls. I'd do anything for them, but I won't do that.
It's definitely in my quotes list.
Very good.
Ironically, that I'll do anything for love was stuck in my head for 2 days and not a Spice Girls song. To be fair, that was my second of 3 viewings to get through this movie. Not because it was hard to watch this movie, but because it's hard to watch a movie with a newborn.
I just find it hard to watch a movie. And I'm a big Meat fan. Simon can attest to that. Better Hell, Dead Ringer, some of my favourites. So that was my favourite scene as well. I didn't mind the little scene in the that you referred to earlier, where they're in the cafe and they to the cafe owner, and that's how that's their origin story, I guess. I didn't mind that with their best friend there as well.
Obviously, she can't sing or point because she didn't get in the band.
What was going on with that? I was so confused about their friends. That was so weird.
One friend.
Yeah, one friend. One heavily pregnant friend that they should never have taken clubbing.
Was she also pregnant in that
I didn't notice.
Why on earth was she in that club? Also, on that note, that woman, that the friend, was a week overdue, like right at the start of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She said, I'm a week late. You have to start charging it rent. And like at the end of the movie, she's clubbing with them. So how far is she overdue, first of all? And she's that overdue and clubbing.
Apparently, clubbing is like eating a curry when you're pregnant. Makes
really. I also just thought in that scene, how nice of them to take their friend out clubbing because they're worried about her and not hanging out with her. But then they all just leave her to watch them dance.
Yeah.
Right, you stay up here, pregnant friend. We're off for a boogie to our own music.
They look up every now and then.
Well, thank God baby saw her having contractions.
The baby was on the job straight away. Good on her.
Sean?
Right. Honourable mentions, the James Bond styled intro. and then
Okay.
cutting to the chief, who is petting a cat like a Bond villain, drinking a martini, and then says to the manager, "No need to stir." I thought that was very nice.
Big Doctor Evil vibes there. That's good stuff.
The part where one of the Mels and Jerry have a bit of a dust up, and apparently their feud was real. Just not necessarily a scene, but just Mel sees England jersey that she wears around. Some of these are more quote related, so I'll save them for later. I really love the chase scene with the guy narrating it, because it's part of his story. The Rocky music, the bridge jump, it's all really good. But my favourite scene would have to be the dream sequence with Stephen Fry as the judge, when he condemns them for not releasing a good song, and then when he throws the hammer down and boots them out, he says, "Now bring me Houghty and the Blowfish."
I love that.
Is that when they're in the mansion, all sleeping?
I don't know. There's dream sequences about bad things that could happen or something. There's a few dream sequences.
They were
You know
sometimes
what-
hard to tell if they were a dream sequence or if it was just we're just doing this in the movie now.
What, like the Michael Barrymore dance instructor scene? That was ludicrous.
Oh, the boot
That
camp.
was
Definitely-
favourite.
Boot camp. Yeah, that was a good scene.
Definitely looked up when that scene came on, when the Michael Barrymore incident occurred, and it was 3 years after. So I feel.
Oh, I forgot about that. It was
Oh,
awesome.
I forgot about the incident. But that Michael Barrymore scene's insane. I mean, there's a lot of insane scenes though. But yeah, oh my god. And I really like the post credits with like all the actors complaining to the fake writer about their characters, and Alan Cumming complaining about having to wear a fake chest hair piece.
Oh, yeah, you got way better notes than me, Sean.
Note on that scene, Bob, at the start.
Hmm.
That was a former Bond, right? The
Yeah,
boss.
Roger Moore.
It's Roger Moore,
Yep.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Yeah.
All right. Quotes. And I think we'll leave Sean till last. He seems to have a lot.
I don't have a lot. I've just got 3 or 4.
Kat, you have a quote for us?
I'll just go with Clifford, played by Richard E. Grant, yelling at them saying, "My bum is on the line here." Basically, just always badgering them to get on schedule.
I really, really enjoyed Richard E. Grant.
No, so my favourite quote was, again, I'm leaning heavily into the alien scene. And,
Did you watch any of the
When-
movie?
no, I did. I genuinely watched the whole movie. The space alien asks for an autograph. I think it's Sporty who says, and is that 4 Ks in that name? And then one of them corrects her. That was a great line. From a great
Yeah, that
scene.
was a good part.
I've got a couple, but I'll go for I did say my meatloaf one earlier. But my favourite, and I just think it's just probably ironic more than anything, was when Baby said, "I'm always going to be seen as Baby Spice, even when I'm 30. And I just said, I thought to myself, I hate to break it to Emma, but you'll probably still refer to that when you're 80.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff.
That was good. I got a couple others, but I'll add them on if Sean doesn't say them.
So my favourite Spice Girl related quote was when they're getting out of the water after the boat chase, and Victoria says, "This dress is dry clean only, Melanie." Quite enjoyed the sass. And then I've got only 2 others. well, because I've mentioned some. I really liked Call Houghty and the Blowfish, which I've mentioned. And I mentioned the Roger Moore stuff at the start. But back to the Chief. When the rabbit of chaos is pursued by the ferret of disorder through the fields of anarchy, it is time to hang your pants on a hook of darkness, whether they're clean or not. And then
Did he say something
later,
about a chicken as well?
that's my next one. The headless chicken can only know where he's been. He can't see where he's going.
Is that where he's stroking a pig?
Yes. And the pig clearly wasn't supposed to start oinking, but he just went through with the scene, feeding it with a bottle.
The ultimate professional. I really liked the editor's right-hand man. I don't even know what his name was. Every time he's pitching one of the movies. 5 girls, 5 lives, 1 story, as old as time itself, new as freshly cut grass.
That's the guy from Cheers, eh?
I don't know.
That was one thing that was kind of surprising because Norm from Cheers, he's not that far removed from the biggest comedy show of the late 80s, early 90s. And then he's doing Spice World. I was very surprised at how large a role he had in that film. Or a guy who was on top of his game, but he was still very famous.
Mm.
How the Mighty Fall.
Mm.
I mean, what? And there's one from Clifford when he was getting real angry with the girls because they were out clubbing or not listening to him. Even if I round up 4 friends and dress up as Victoria. He's threatening to to take over their set. Thought that was quite good.
It's good that he had someone that he or shoes he was going to fill straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Himself as Victoria.
So we'll get into one of our famous character drafts, but before we do, are we going to include the Spice Girls in the character draft?
I think, because if we're going to have to pick 8 characters to do a snake, then we probably need to include them.
Have to include
You can do it. Just bring up the cast sheet on Google.
I can run through. I'm happy to quickly run through some of the famous cameos for you guys to rejog your memory.
Sure.
So,
I don't have many of them on my list, but yep.
So Mark McKinney and George Wendt are the screenwriter and producer.
George Wendt's Norm.
Who the hell are they?
George Wendt's Norm from Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
now I know who you're talking about.
And Mark McKinney's a comedian. He's definitely been in stuff.
He's on that Cloud9 or Superstore.
Yeah. You've got Deborah, the assistant. Stephen Fry's judge. Michael Barrymore's dance instructor.
Mr. Step.
Jules Holland and Jonathan Ross. Richard O'Brien's evil photographer. Kevin McNally cameos as a policeman. Jennifer Saunders from Absolutely Fabulous at one of the gigs or whatever they're at. Obviously, Roger Moore as the chief. Alan Cumming as the Down on His Luck documentary director. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Meatloaf. Hugh Laurie's role in one of those weird dream sequences as the mustache twirling bad guy, trying to track down a murderer. Oh, and I forgot to speak about this. One of my other favourite scenes is when they're pitching their movies and they talk about Space Force 5 and Jerry is a master of disguise and goes into a telephone box and comes out as Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, it's me. That was so good.
Dominic West is a photographer. Richard E. Grant's phenomenal performance as the manager. Bob Geldof as himself gets a bad haircut from Scary Spice. And Elton John looking pretty fed up with the Spice Girls right at the start.
Wow, that's great, Bob. I've just got I don't have any of their names pretty much. I've just got what I've referred to them in my notes as.
That's fine, because I couldn't remember a lot of their names because they're so fleeting, some of these. But
I've got Italian old mate. He obviously wasn't famous. All right, I've got my names here that I'm pulling.
Are we doing we including the Spice Girls, right?
I've only got one that's going to make my top 8.
On Spice Girl.
All right, here we go. You've got number 1 pick, and Sean, that means he's picking last as well.
correct.
I've got 2nd pick and 7th pick. I don't know how I'm going to fare with the 7th pick there. Sean, you're 3rd and 5th. Third and 6th, and Pat, you are 4th and 5th. I think we got the raw end of the stick there, Simon, but I'd like for you to kick us off, Simon.
Well, I don't think I've got the raw end of the stick at all. For me, this character is clearly the most valuable player, as it were, in the film. She's a crusader for women's rights. Before it was popular. She's got a bit of oomph about her body-wise. You know, she's not a stick figure. She's a real. She wears what she wants. She has got a bit of flesh on the bones, which becomes a huge issue in the 2000s, of course. And she basically just wears undies for the whole movie. Outside, inside, performing, in the bus, just wears undies the whole time. So I've got to give her credit for that. I'm talking, of course, Ginger Spice, my number 1 pick.
She does feel like the unofficial leader, even if sometimes the girls disagree with her.
Yep, Ginger, no doubt about it for me.
Great pick. She was on my list.
Now, I really don't know whether to go a Spice Girl here or just take the person that should have been taken at number 1. The person who clearly wins the movie. Pat knows. Clifford is easily the best character in this movie.
Clifford is phenomenal.
IMDb gives us 3.5 out of 10 stars, and he is worth probably 2.5 of those stars. It's overacting at its best. His facial hair is fantastic. Hard to go past Clifford in number 2.
You can tell that he's really having fun with it as well. Like with the overacting, he's just fully embraced his role.
Yeah, I've won that again. I've won this character draft already. I think it's Sean.
Yep. Now, I think I'm going to have to go with a character who doesn't say a lot, but when she does, it's worth listening to, I think. Sometimes
take mine.
Sometimes she gets a bit of a hard time from her fellow team members, but I think she also carries a little bit of common sense when the rest of her team are getting a little bit silly. And I've got a lot of respect for her, respect for high fashion. I'm taking Posh.
Yeah, that was who I was going to take. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, great scene on the Mr. Step Michael Barrymore scene where they're at kind of the boot camp and she just goes on the left and refuses to take part in any of the activities, just constantly pulling her skirt down. It's great acting. It's good stuff.
She's genuinely good, I thought. I read where they're doing the military scene and she just like walks next to all the obstacles when they're all like running through them and jumping into the water, and she just walks alongside it in her high heels.
Did I just not say that exact thing?
Oh, is that Michael Barrymore doing that?
Or am I crazy? Did I?
No, that's exactly what you were talking about, Simon.
I thought Michael Barrymore's
that's the scene with him. He's the drill sergeant.
Was my description that bad?
I thought that Michael
I
Berry
like
one
the
was good
scene
at
with Posh
dancing.
when she was dressed in the army outfit. And they were doing
Hey, Pat, do not be repeating the worst joke in film history, the deja vu joke, by the way.
What was that?
They did this weird joke, the Rupert Murdoch alike guy. He said, I've got a case of deja vu, and then the guy said something, and then he said, I got a case of deja vu, and the guy said something, and it was just absolutely horrific. But anyway.
Well, I had a case of deja vu. Didn't obviously figure out what you're talking about there, Si. Pat, you got Bang Bang here, back to back.
I do. With my first pick being mentioned a hell of a lot, I'll be taking the character of Dennis, the bus driver, played by Meatloaf. He was a really
Good one.
lovable character as well, and even there's that famous scene of when he's teed up for his quote to say, "But I won't do that." But it's just that he says, he really loves these girls and stuff. You're like, I'm on board with this guy. He's got a tour of them all around the world, and he has a real passion for them. I really like that about Dennis. So Dennis will go at 4. And the other one that's been mentioned a hell of a lot, I'm going to take, hopefully my pronunciation is on point, Filmuk, which is the main alien, groupie alien. Just really stole that entire scene. And I'm passionate about others being passionate about the Spice Girls, and my 2 picks reflect that.
He actually did. Pat, the only thing I'll note there on Krikmuk is that he was sort of brought up in a bad light in the Me Too era for asking for a kiss from Jerry Halliwell. Got dragged through the mud. His name was dragged through the mud, but Jerry stuck up for him though and said it was all fine. But the other thing I'll note about
should we cut that out to another one?
Meatloaf, by the way, for a guy who's like famous for being in terrible shape all the time, seems like he's looking pretty good in this film, physically.
He does look good.
Yeah, about as good as
Does look good. And that segues. Is it my pick?
It is.
It is your pick.
Segues into my next pick. For my next pick, I'm looking for athleticism, passion, a great voice, someone who's prepared to stand up for their mates no matter what, and someone with a bit of attitude. And also someone who knows their way around a duet with Bryan Adams. Sporty Spice.
Nice.
I'm glad you mentioned great voice, because that was one thing that I noticed straight away. I think the first song that they sing, and they all have like a bit that they sing by themselves. And straight away I was like, didn't know Sporty was the best singer.
Mm. I think you'll find Sporty and Scary do most of the like the independent parts in their songs, and then obviously Ginger and Baby do a bit as well, and then Posh is pointing,
acting very well.
Mm-mm.
But they call out Sporty at some point for doing all the ha's.
Because she does.
Scouser. Oh, I can't believe you've let him drop. The second best character in this film, with easily the best name in this film, and quite possibly the best accent, Kevin McMaxford. Don't know whether it's an Australian accent or a Cockney English accent.
Definitely supposed to be Rupert Murdoch.
But no, I revel in Kevin McMaxford, and just him yelling at that other guy in his office.
That part where he doesn't realise he's smiling. Something's in my face.
Yeah, old Kevy, I really enjoyed his part. I also just enjoyed knowing his name because I didn't really know many of the other characters' names. I picked up on his quite quickly. Simon, last pick. Who are you going to pair with Ginger?
Oh, I'm going to pair another Spice Girl with Ginger. So I'm a big
Ugh.
fan after watching this movie. So just some alarming things about the movie. It have to be brought to light, I feel like. So the only black Spice Girl is also called Scary Spice. Has to be noted. And during a dream sequence where they're all imagining they're all mothers, I think, and when they're all getting older,
Oh no, I didn't think this was going to get
she's
brought up.
wearing like an African style outfit with like rag on her head, and you just think this stuff wouldn't fly. The stuff wouldn't fly nowadays. So I think for Mel B, aka Scary Spice, and they even made her have the last name Brown, for goodness sake, or is that her real last name? No. I just think that that was bizarre, and for her to put up with that sort of stuff was very impressive. Very good outfits, very good singer as well, and is very good in the Jenny Craig ads. So why she gets my number 8. Just a quick touch on Pat. Did you have Sporty, or was that you, Bob?
It's Sporty.
On Sporty, I just had a note down there that she is Dennis the Worm Rodman of this film with the tats nose ring combination. So I really like Sporty. Really like that pick from you, Bob. Well, that's my pick. Scary and Ginger, strong lineup.
Well, it's either Pat or the other two. Just pick Spice Girls, for goodness sake.
Only that in the Spice World movie.
Well, I think everyone thought they were going to get Crick to full neck with their second pick, but what you napping?
Going back to that diversity comment, it made me think. I didn't see, like, much like Friends, I didn't see many other ethnicities apart from their friend in the whole movie, which was very 90s.
That kid that won the competition to meet them as well.
Yeah. Troubling.
But yeah, we won't hold it against them, but just worth noting.
Before we get into, we'll finish off with recasting Spice World. Is there any other bits and pieces anyone needs to clear up before we get into that?
I reckon special mentions outside of the draft. One of them has to be Damien, who's the paparazzi guy that like keeps like popping up in fruit salad and stuff like that. Try and get dirt on the Spice Girls. He was pretty close. If I thought the alien would have gone, he was my back.
Yeah, that one where he pops out of the toilet's pretty good.
Oh yeah. I thought I was going to say this up top, but I was just going to, like, looking back at it, it's a bit of fun, but it's a pretty phenomenal achievement. Obviously, the Spice Girls were a ginormous thing. Like, you would probably have to say the biggest musical group or artist of the 90s, just with like sheer volume of people knowing who they were, knowing everyone's name, knowing their songs, even if they didn't like them. Like, I think their debut album sold like 30 million copies or something ridiculous real fast, and like a genuine phenomenon. And then to be able to release perhaps a B-grade movie at cinemas and make bank, like, just...
They make bank, didn't they?
Oh,
yeah.
Box office 100 million.
Yeah. And think about the VHS sales.
Oh my goodness. I'd hate to think about it.
It's perfect for the wish it was the 90s crew. Like it was massive in the 90s. Now no one cares, but like, yeah, it's going to have a little bit
So
of
much
nostalgia.
so that, and I did some research. I was like, why? Because I'd hate to reveal anything publicly about how we watch this, but I'll just mention that it was very, very hard to find this on streaming.
It wasn't on Netflix. Let's just put it that way.
Mm.
Although,
You go on.
if Netflix, you know how sometimes they buy stuff that's old. If they streamed it, it would go bonkers. It would be in the top. When you log in and there's like the top 5 downloads or top 5 streamed or whatever, it would definitely be up there.
It'll be in the top
Yeah.
10 for. It'll be in the top 10 for a week, definitely. Just out of pure nostalgia. But that's a great point, Bob. It's funny just that what you've touched on there, Bob, is that sometimes you look back. So as a teacher, if I could recommend stuff to kids at school and be proud that it came from the 90s, then that's what we're all about in the 90s. And then there's other things like Spice World, where really they were the biggest band in the whole 90s, and that grossed over 100 million at the box office. Were you guys all insane? So it's a really eclectic decade, shall we say?
Having said that, there are children that I would teach now that still would probably know "Stop Right Now." I reckon.
Yeah.
But the biggest song is "Wannabe," right? That's their biggest hit.
I reckon.
Yeah,
"Stop Right Now" is up there, surely.
it's up there.
Wannabe's got, yeah.
It's up there, but "Wannabe's" the biggest, I think.
My favorite, not my favorite Spice Girls song. One thing when I was doing, well, my favorite.
What is it then?
I can't remember it. I'll cut it. It'll come back to me. It's a slow
I've
song.
got mine, mate.
Off
Yours.
you go.
Diva Forever.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Very good. Pat?
Google some good Spice Girls songs and I'll come back to you. Really love the film. Come back to me.
I really like Wannabe. Like, you hear those drums going at the start. I'm just like, here we go.
Mine is Too Much.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Good track.
Lots of slow hand pointing from Victoria.
Not a lot of singing.
Good change up. Good change up from Posh.
No, when I was doing a little bit of research, I found out that you can Airbnb stay in the bus.
Oh,
Ooh.
So, Sean, have you had your honeymoon?
no.
Well, go to the Isle of Wight, pay £225 a night, and you can stay in that Harry Potter bus.
Not even that much.
That's a bargain.
Do you stay in the bus or the room that they use for the interior of the bus?
That's a good question. Very good question.
I reckon it would be like the bus, like an actual bus that, when you see it from the outside, it's got the flag on it, and it's just revamped the inside. It doesn't look anything like it does in the movies.
Or it's the bus and it's right next to an actual building and there's a door in the bus to the set.
I reckon that's highly unlikely.
I'd be real keen to sleep in that room they were in all the time on the quote unquote bus. That was a spacious room.
I didn't actually look it up. You probably could see what it looks like inside.
No, I'd rather just speculate.
Throw it over to you to do some recasting.
All right, I think I've got 4 I can do pretty quickly. I'm going to go for the minor characters. You can't recast the Spice Girls unless you just
You
make it
might
like
have to recast
like a direction
Victoria.
movie or something. We'll go with Clifford because I'm a big fan of the recent Disney show Loki, and which featured Richard E. Grant playing a version of Loki. So I'll have Tom Hiddleston playing Clifford.
Lovely.
Creepy paparazzi man Damien Paul Scheer, SCHEER. Look him up. You'd go well. Then my heavy hitters are for Dennis the bus driver. They've been bringing back dead people for the last 5 years in movies, so I'm going to CGI Chris Farley playing the same bus driver from Billy Madison in there.
Nice.
And I can't remember what's the newspaper head who's in that case that owns newspaper.
Kevin or something.
Yeah, something like that. I'll have Tom Cruise playing his role as Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder.
I've just looked up your mate Paul Scheer, and he looks like he would be phenomenal. Yeah, I do recognise him. Is there anyone else that has to be recast?
I can't do a better job than Pat's done an outstanding job there.
We say Pierce Brosnan as the chief?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, that's a great shout.
You know, just running with the ex Bond.
Yep, that's good. Very good.
I don't watch movies, so I don't know.
What about the role played by Alan Cumming, the Down on His Luck documentary director?
Maybe like a slightly younger Danny DeVito. I don't know, someone real oily.
I would go. I'm just looking at. Joe. Is it Joe Lo Truglio, the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Superbad, and he's the give me everything you got guy from I Love You, Man. He'd be perfect.
Yeah, nailed it.
Great shout.
Should have been a casting director.
Should have been that. Those are good gets, all of them.
Maybe you could play the guy who's doing the screenwriting. That role could be for you.
Yeah, pitching heaps of real shit movies. Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we sign off? I know Sean's got something sorted for the sign off.
I've got something sign off. To sign off.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
Let's have a little girl power.
Oh, wow.